You are leaning into a rope as thick as your wrist, and behind you a block of limestone, heavier than 10 men, is grinding up a ramp of wet mud. 2.5 tons of stone and 2 million more blocks wait behind it. The sun is a white hammer. Dust cakes the sweat on your back. A man walks ahead of the sledge, pouring water under the wooden runners so the stone will slide, and another beats a small drum so that 40 pairs of arms pull as one. You are not a slave. In 4,000 years, almost everyone who tells this story will say you were whipped, chained, dying in your thousands for a mad king's tomb. They will be wrong. You pull because you were counted, fed, and because you are raising the largest object any human being has ever dared to raise. Your home is a brown village on the edge of the Nile, a long way south of here. You are a farmer's son. You know the weight of barley sheaves and the smell of river mud, the year turning on the rise and fall of the water. For most of your life, the world was that. The fields, your mother's oven, your father bent in the rows beside you. That was the whole world. Then, every year when the river swells and drowns the fields, and there is no farming to be done, the king's men come, not to punish, to count. When the Nile takes the land, Egypt does not sit idle, it builds. The morning they take you, you are 18. It is the second year of the reign of King Khufu, the one a far future will call Cheops. A scribe comes up the path with a roll of papyrus and a reed brush, and he writes your name and your father's name in a long column of names. You are walked north with 100 men from your district, day after day along the green edge of the flood, and the whole way one thought sits cold in your chest. You have heard what waits at Giza, a mountain of stone, and under it the bones of men worked to death. You are certain you are being marched away to die. Your father walks beside you and says nothing, because he is certain of it too. But Giza is not a pit. It is a town. You come over the last rise, and below you is a city of mud-brick streets, breathing smoke from 100 ovens, loud with hammering and singing. There are bakeries turning out bread by the 1,000 loaf, breweries souring the air with beer, men gutting fish in long rows. You are given a sleeping mat, a ration of bread and beer and onions, and a name, not your own, but your gang's. You are now one of the friends of Khufu. No one chains you. No one lifts a whip. You came expecting to be worked to death, and instead you are fed and counted and expected to be proud. They put you on the rope. This is where every man begins. A block is lashed to a wooden sledge, and 40 of you take the lines, and on the drum beat you lean back and walk it up the ramp while a boy splashes water under the runners. The stone does not want to move, and then, all at once, it does. You learn the song the haulers sing to keep the rhythm. You learn which men to trust on the line beside you. Your hands open into blisters and then into hard yellow skin. Your father is on the rope ahead of you, older, slower, and you watch his back and match his pull. On a white morning in your second year, a sledge jumps its track on the ramp above you. A block the weight of a house begins to slide back. Men scatter. Your father is below it, and he does not run. He turns to drive a wooden chock under the runner, the way an old hauler knows how, and you see that he will not be fast enough. You let go of your rope. Every instinct of the gang is to hold the line. You let it go, and you throw yourself at the chock and ram it home beside him. And the block stops with a groan, a hand's breadth from his legs. The gang holds. But your father has wrenched his back, and he will never haul again. The master mason saw you leave the rope. That evening he comes to your hut, and your father takes his own worn copper chisel and presses it into your hands. You are leaving the rope. You are going to learn to cut. The mason's yard is a different world. Here the work is not weight, but patience. The master sets you to dressing a casing block, taking a face of soft white Tura limestone and working it flat enough that when two blocks are set together, a blade of light will not pass the joint. You learn the copper chisel and the wooden mallet and the dolerite, fist-sized balls of stone harder than copper, for pounding the hardest granite. You are clumsy. The yard smells of stone dust and the sour bite of fresh-cut limestone. The gang overseer, a tall man with a staff of office, watches you ruin a block and says you have a farmer's hands and a farmer's eye. The master only says, again, and hands you another stone. You learn that the gleaming white skin of the pyramid does not come from here. The fine Tura limestone is quarried across the river, and it travels to Giza by boat. You cross the Nile on a barge stacked with casing stone and understand for the first time how the whole impossible thing actually works. It runs on the river. Only when the inundation floods the valley can the heavy boats float their stone close to the plateau. Somewhere an inspector named Mera is keeping a careful diary on papyrus of every boatload he brings, a record that will outlast the memory of everyone alive and tell men far in the future that this was real and ordinary and logged like any harvest. Then comes a year the river fails. The inundation rises weak and stops early. The barges sit grounded on mud, the stone cannot move, and on the plateau the bread ration thins. Because a poor flood means a poor harvest to come, and every mouth in Egypt feels it. The gangs grow lean and frightened. You and the master do not wait for the water. You strip the load lighter, you haul further over land, you make a crossing by night when the channel is least treacherous. It works, and when you set your first casing block true, the join so tight the light dies in it, the master lets you do the thing only a real mason may do. You take a pinch of red ochre and you daub your own mark on the hidden underside of the stone. The next course goes on top of it that same day. Your signature on eternity, sealed in the dark the moment you make it. The years stack up like courses. You age. The pyramid climbs. You can no longer see the top of it from the workers' town without leaning back. You are trusted now. The overseer who mocked your farmer's hands now waits for your eye on a difficult joint. The friends of Khufu have become the only family you have. You have buried 2 of them, married the sister of a third, taught their sons the rope, and on hundreds of hidden blocks, deep in the body of the mountain, you have left your red mark, each one covered over within the hour, each one yours. Then the word comes down from the palace, and it changes everything. The king is old, Khufu is aging, and there are whispers that he is ill. And a pyramid is not a monument, it is a door, and it must be finished and sealed before the king dies, or there is no horizon for him to pass into, and the disaster of that falls on everyone bound to the work. Your gang, your people. The site begins to move faster than is safe. Overseers walk the ramps shouting for speed, more blocks, more courses, before the old man's heart gives out. And here you make the choice that no one will ever see you make. You are set to dress a core block, deep inside, a stone that the very next course will bury forever in darkness. Speed is everything now. The overseer wants it rough and quick. No one will ever look at it. You could do that. Instead, you work the face true, slowly, the way the master taught you, and you take your ochre and you make your mark on it carefully, beautifully, the full, clean glyph on a stone no living eye will ever see again. You understand the whole bargain of your life in that moment. You are building the most visible thing on earth, and your part in it is the most perfectly hidden. You make the mark anyway. You are an old man when they raise the last stone. The pyramidion, the capstone, comes up the final ramp at dawn, sheathed in gold and electrum, so that it catches the first light and throws it out across the whole valley. You stand near the summit where 20 years of your life are stacked beneath your feet, and you watch them set it, and the king's horizon is closed in time. The casing is smoothed from the top down into one blinding white slope, so bright in the sun that men will say it is a thing of the gods, and not of hands. Of your hands, the great machine of bread and beer and rope goes quiet. The gangs begin to walk home to their villages, the work of a lifetime finished. Before you go, a boy who has watched you from the hall ropes, as your father once watched, as you once watched, holds out both his hands. You put your chisel across them, the dark copper blade, exactly as it was put across yours. You will not be remembered. The pyramid will outlast the king's own name. Men will forget even Khufu, and they will never once know yours. But your mark is in there, under the white stone, in the dark, on a block no one will ever move. The mountain keeps no names on its face. It keeps, sealed inside it, the hands that raised it. And it is still standing now,